All right, it's time to fight. Only two will make it out this weekend. Let's take a look at the opening hands here. On the play, we have Kanister. Okay, that's very important. I think. Does the play draw matter that much in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, basically, both players are able to kill like on turn 3 or 4. So going first matters a lot. And just in general, right? Like play draw matters in modern. So like maybe not as much as other formats at times, but matchups like this definitely.
I love the purple text in the chat, by the way. I think that is a massive flex. Okay,
Yeah.
so it looks like both players have mulliganed to 6 now. Can you give me an evaluation on this hand from Kanister?
Yeah, so Kanister is basically one green bounce land away from winning the game. He basically has 2 amulets. He can copy the amulet with the Microsynth Garden, and as soon as he draws out a green bounce land, which typically I believe the decks play 9 to 10 of, depending on the build, he wins the game, basically. He will put a bunch of things into play and just take over. So he is basically banking it all on that draw step, and has, basic forest as a draw step to normally develop his mana, etc., but really bounce land away from winning.
Okay, I see also a copy of the Mycosynth Gardens, which is kind of cool. Has pretty cool synergy with Amulet of Vigor, right?
Yeah, and that is part of why he's taking this risk, I believe. Is basically he's going to play turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 he'll copy the Amulet with the Gardens, and then turn 3 if he draws a bounce land, he can play it, play Grazer, pick up the bounce land, do it again, Grazer again, play a Titan, kill Carmen.
Now, this is really funny because Simon had mentioned, that he was actually very interested in playing Amulet this weekend because he wanted to beat Kanister, who taught him how to play Amulet 8 years ago. So Carmen's sort of fulfilling that role here now. It's sort of living up to the dream of can student beat the master.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Carmen has kind of what she's looking for, a little land heavy, but she has those early creatures and she needs to get that damage across the finish line. Sometimes Amulet can sort of turtle up and then have a 6/6 in the way to not kill you and gain some life with Radiant Fountains. So you need these early creatures to get the free points across. But our Boyer Grazer can't cause a problem. And Honorog, I think that's the green-white bounce land.
Oh yeah, okay, wait a minute. This is the Selesnya one. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Looks green and white to me.
Yeah, so I believe Kanister has the win next turn. I don't think he can do it this. He might be able to do it this turn. It's been a bit since I've played, but he can copy the Microsynth Gardens on the Amulet. Then he'll have 2 Amulets that's 4 untaps. Grazer will make +3 mana, basically Dark Ritual that blocks, Caroline's favorite card, and then work from there. It looks like he is just copying right away, and it's going to pick the land up to itself. And then, oh yeah, this is game right here. That's right. Sorry, I forgot. So he gets to do this now because it's only 1 mana to activate. I thought it was 2 for some reason. So now he's going to make 4 mana, pick it up, play the Arboreal Grazer, go up 3 more mana, play the Titan, double strike, attack Carmen for 20, and she's dead. That's game. Easy.
Wait, this is so disgusting. Oh my god. I mean, yeah. I was looking at Carmen's hand the whole time. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. You got the turn 1 Goblin Guide, the turn 2 Swift Spear. Things are going great. Meanwhile, Kanister's just like, nah, you don't get a turn 2. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, it's crazy. My inexperience since Microsynth Gardens is showing there. For some reason, I thought it was 2 mana to copy. And I was like, oh, okay, perfect. He'll copy in the next turn win. But no, with a double Grazer, that is game.
All right, let's see. It looks like, yeah, we're getting the Slayer Stronghold, I think, and the Boros Garrison. Is that correct? And then we're going to do all the things that you mentioned. There's the right-click concede. Kanister is going to take the first game in like less than 2 minutes. Let's talk about sideboarding here. We'll start from the burn side. One card that I noticed in the hand was Roiling Vortex. I don't know if that's necessarily that good. And it looks like we have some Blazes maybe highlighted as well.
Yeah, Roiling Vortex is something that can be okay against Summoner's Pact, but for the most part isn't great. Although Carmen has some cards she's highlighted there, like Searing Blaze are a lot worse. And she has a few kind of Haymakers and Deflecting Palm, which, if she had that there, Kanister would die. If she had mana, obviously she died on her turn 1. But, like if she had some mana, that would be helpful. And you're seeing her sort of bring in Path to Exile to stop the Amulet. She doesn't want to sideboard too much because Burn is a deck that is critical mass heavy, but that's what's going on. And you see Kanister's taking out his One Rings and sort of just making his deck go a little bit quicker.
As streamlined as possible. I see that for sure here. So let's talk about the post-board game. Are we expecting a little bit more interaction? I mean, generally speaking, sideboard games go a little bit slower. Is that what we're expecting out of this matchup? This one seems, I mean, I can't tell. Is it 2 ships sailing in the night?
It is basically 2 ships sailing in the night. Both players have some small interaction. I actually haven't looked too closely at Kanister's deck. I do think I see a Radiant Fountain over there on the left, but it's a little hard for me to see. But that's like the one card that Kanister can do to kind of play a slower game and bounce that a bit to gain a little bit of life, right, and invalidate some of the burn spells. Carmen has some Path to Exiles, like we talked about in Deflecting Palm. That might slow Kanister down a bit, but for the most part, this is kind of the problem is Carmen needs to commit everything basically all the time in the early turns. A Kanister can just win anyway. So she's going to be in a bit of a tight spot no matter what happens.
Yeah, I noticed also some wear tears coming in at the very last second as well. What do you think that indicates about Carmen's approach to the post-board matchup?
Yeah, she might just be hoping to kind of spike, like hitting an Amulet, hitting an Urza Saga, and just have some cards she thinks aren't very good. Her Searing Blazes are only really good against our Boreal Grazer, and if she has a play going early, and her Helixes, the life gain doesn't really matter, so it's kind of the worst burn spell.
All right. Well, it looks like Carmen has kept 7, and Kanister is on a mulligan to 6. I see a copy of Amulet of Figure in the 6, and I see a Micah's, and I see a Celeste. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, but one thing's missing.
Yeah, we don't have a Titan, but I'm curious to see if he keeps this. Typically, in a lot of matchups like this, you have so many virtual copies of Titan in your deck that you're okay taking risks like this on some amount of mulligans. I don't know what Kanister's heuristic is. Maybe he likes to go to 5 more often. But right now, I mean, he could keep this, and, between Summoner's Pact, Teleria West, Titan proper, Cultivator Colossus, he has a lot of hits that just win the game.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask, is like, how well does this Titan deck mulligan?
Fairly well. Like, we only need so many resources to actually win. And yeah, we kind of needed a lot of it, right, in order to have it last game. But we don't have to win on turn 2, right? Like, if we gave Carmen 1 or 2 more turns, she probably wouldn't have killed us anyways. So,
okay, interesting. Yeah. Riftbolt's going to go on suspend for turn 1. Boseiju is the pickup here. Boseiju doesn't really have that much text in this matchup, does it?
No, not really. Blowing up Rolling Vortex is about the only thing it does that can really matter. Other than that, untapped green source is pretty nice sometimes.
Okay. Eidolon is a card that is long since phased out of these burn decks, no?
Yeah, this kind of left doesn't do enough and is too easily answered. A lot of the removal spells weirdly cost more than 3, right? Leyline Binding, Solitude, Fury, and there's a lot of Cascade and free spells being cast, so Rolling Vortex sort of does a better job of doing it. Unfortunately, I miss Eidolon.
Okay, well, now I feel like we've sort of assembled like the burned version of Voltron, which is like, funny enough, calling Goblin Guide a part of Voltron in any capacity makes me feel a little hurt inside. But with the Path to Exile, I think that's kind of the synergy that you were talking about, right? Like deal damage over time, and then like get rid of the one critical Amulet Titan that might potentially KO you.
Yeah. And one thing to note, I missaw the card in the hand. I thought we had a different artifact for some reason. We do have a map on ROG, and that map can find Teleria West, which will find the Titan. So we do have a very slow Titan in hand, and that's on me. I just hadn't seen that art before.
Oh, that's fine. I'm also blind. Actually, I should be wearing glasses. Yeah, or we could just draw it. Yeah. Now I don't know if we actually have the necessary mana to actually activate the Teleria West. So that's another challenge too that we're gonna have to get through.
Not yet, but Dry to the Elysian Grove will let our lands tap for mana of any color. So we're going to have to get enough lands in play because our bounce lands won't make like blue instead of green-white, right? Like it's going to only make 1 blue, but that is a way towards it. And with things like Azusa, you can, get out of hand here pretty quickly.
All right, I'm going to put you to the test. So we obviously have Kanister, the Titan Master, going to make a play. What is your turn sequence here? And then I'm going to grade you using Canisters as the correct. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't give it to you easy. Will and you didn't work together. I don't pull punches.
In commentary, I'm not a big believer in predictive tasking. I think that really makes the players look bad, and I'm not trying to do that. And so I'm a big believer in talking about a bunch of lines Kanister could take. And
Chat, give me an F, an R, an A, U, D.
I'm a big believer in that. Like Kanister, I say some lines, and I say like, oh, there's a lot of different ways you can approach this. We can play Dry the Elysian Grove, get a bunch of mana into play. We can play Azusa, put a bunch of lands and play Dryad all in the same turn, hope to get it going. There's a lot of different ways to approach it. We could try and get a fast a map broken. And then whenever he does, I say he's right on ROG because he's the master. And that's just a free commentary lesson for you. Wasn't that great?
That was great. This is I like getting coached in commentary is fantastic. We see Azusa enter play and playing the Urza side. Okay, I guess that's the first step, sure. And
then let's pick up the microsynth, I believe, and then or we can flip mana off the Urza, however you want to do it, and put the Dryad. I believe we're gonna pick up the microsynth. Oh, you're just gonna pick up you just pick up the bounce. That makes sense. Yeah, you want to keep it in your hand.
Fascinating.
Boom. Now we can play the map.
Yeah. Okay. So this seemed like a setup turn. I'm sure, Kanister paused for a moment to see, can I actually kill you this turn? The answer decisively no. Now, here's an interesting question is with this Path to Exile, you now have 2 additional targets in play. If you're in Carmen's seat right now, you still got to draw a step to look for what's going on. But do you change targets? Do you pivot from hitting the Azusa or the Titan to hitting one of the creatures in play?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't played a ton of burn. I think that I was gonna say we could see Carmen's gonna make her decision probably with the Riftbolt. If she went after the Azusa, I would imagine we then would have pathed the Dryad probably. But it looks like we're just going to go face and basically hope that Kanister can't do it before we can burn him out. Now, I think, with Skewer the Critics here in her hand, she might have just been going face and then plans to Skewer the Azusa as another line because she gets a draw step there. Obviously, don't know with Rift Bolt, but looks like she's going to hold it for now and just try and fight over the Titan with the Path to Exile. And this is why this matchup's so hard, right? She had such a good start for doing her kind of thing, right? Maybe a second Goblin guy would have been slightly better, but for the most part, kind of all she can ask for. And these creatures come down and just kind of block and accelerate us and makes the matchup pretty difficult.
Yeah, I was gonna say who will win? All of the most ferocious burn spells in all of Modern, or one enchanty Dryad? I don't know. This is okay. Yeah, now with you've got 2 Amulet of Vigor triggers here. This is Selesnya Sanctuary gets to generate 1 billion mana. I counted, and at this point, well, I guess can we actually end the game this turn?
Maybe. Let's see. I can't quite see the mana because from production side we have a little pop-up window.
It's probably green white. Yeah. Okay. We have a lot of green mana. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we have the blue mana for the Teleria West to transmute. So we can float a mana off the T West, and we're gonna make some mana here with our Simic Growth Chamber, and then we'll be able to search for the Summoner's Pact. You technically could search for a land with Teleria West, but I don't think he's gonna do that. But yeah, he's gonna play a bunch of land drops here and just make a bunch of mana. I think put 2 Titans into play because I think he can go do this enough times. T West for Summoner's Pact, get the second T West and another Growth Chamber, float the mana there, and then play another Titan, haste both Titans and attack. So I think this is game, but I'm not 100% sure on the mana because I wasn't paying attention when we were floating because I couldn't see it.
So like your recipe for like commentating on Kanister, that's my recipe for commentating. I say like whatever Mason said is correct, and so we just like vet our we're working reverse order, yeah. Because I remember a long time ago seeing this deck is really complicated Titan, and so the people that are like masters of it, they're absolutely insane. Edgar Magalhaes had posted like a decision tree of like what to do. It was like, okay, your opponent has like Drown in the Lock, you have 6 cards, and like there's here 3 other conditions. What do you drew? And then he basically wrote like a PhD thesis on how to play the turn out based on like what happened and everything like that. And I was like, I don't know how you would even wait. That's not a primeval Titan.
Yeah, so Kanister did the math, and the math didn't work out. We could play both Titans like I thought. I was wrong. That's on me. But we do get Cultivator Colossus, and basically every land in our hand transforms into a spell. There's no guarantee we'll find a spell that matters, but we do find the Titan. So now he gets all these triggers from the Amulet. They're all going to trigger twice. He's going to float 1 million mana, and now the Titan will grab the Titan, which can grab, we're going to go off. It's over here. We're going to get Valakut. We're going to kill Carmen. She is dead. The 1 Path to Exile, I don't think is enough as long as Kanister doesn't just only use the 1 Titan. And even then, she's probably dead because there's a big Cultivator Colossus that we can make. So, yeah, that is probably going to be it, unfortunately.
All right, and just as a reminder for the stakes here, right? So it's win 2 before you lose 2. The losers of this pod, yeah, they're out for the entirety of this season. However, this is the first win or loss, so neither of the players are necessarily out of the woods yet. There'll still be more matches to be played from both sides. But this is a very, very convincing play from Kanister. Yeah.
And this is what I meant. If you were here at the beginning, right? I was like, if we were playing this match 100 times, I would take Kanister's side. Theoretically, Carmen can win. She can like be on the play. Kanister can have a rough draw. He mulligans, right? She has her best draws, and he has his medium draws, right? Like those things can happen. Kind of average draw to average draw, though. Kanister's pretty favored, and it's just one of those things where sometimes in Modern matchups are polar. And if you're playing a deck like Burn, you're basically saying, hey, like, I hope I don't run into Amulet Titan players. And if I do, my plan is for them to get unlucky. And sometimes, if your deck's well positioned, that's a good plan.
Yeah, that's usually my plan in a lot of matchups. So I vibe. All right, so here it is. Here's the Path to Exile. And it's, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is going to be really, really hard.
Yeah, because now that we have the 3rd Amulet on our Orog, we actually can haste Cultivator, Titan, and Titan. So they're all going to attack. And because we have Dryad, he'll be, so I assume Path will hit one of the Titans, but we'll still grab double Valakut. So there's just going to be like 1.5 billion damage, I believe is the exact number. And that should win the game. And then even if it doesn't somehow, we have this Arboreal Grazer in our hand, which could play another land post-combat. So it's Jover.
Nice. I like it. That makes me wonder, going back to my earlier question, is like, when you have all these burn spells, like I think this is also something that really complicates the matchup, right? It's like, obviously, like, target number one, the face. But look at how what Azusa did this turn, right? Look at what Dryad did this turn, right? Like, yes, there is a Primeval Titan, but I have to wonder if maybe, there's a learning moment here where, like, was it correct to maybe go after one of the other creatures or not? I mean, realistically speaking, it does still looks grim both ways, always.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is let's say Carmen does path the Dryad, she Rift Bolts the Azusa. Well, Honorog would have had enough mana to just cast the Titan from hand if he had it, right? So Carmen's plays don't really stop it either way. And so I think she was basically planning to hopefully rip enough burn spells and just hope that Kanister doesn't have it, as Carmen does take the L there to Kanister, moving up to 1-0 today.